One of the clearest examples of precise key control through physical attacks comes from the Namek Saga. A standout instance is when Raccoon faced off against Vegeta. By this point, Vegeta had already received the Zenkai boost from the events on Earth and had been established as capable of destroying a planet. This is confirmed not just in the anime but also in the manga. During their clash, Raccoon's attacks barely scratched Vegeta's armor. He's only lightly injured, showing how far his durability had advanced. Then you have Goku in the same saga. He lands a single well-placed elbow on a similar opponent and completely incapacitates him, despite the enemy still being able to power up after. This demonstrates how Goku's control over ki allows him to maximize the effect of his physical strikes without overexerting himself. A familiar feat is seen when he takes out Birder in 2 hits, who is roughly on the same level of power. Both Goku and Birder had already surpassed Saiyan Saga Vegeta and Goku, who were confirmed planetary level threats. This ties into a core Dragon Ball principle. Durability and offensive output are inherently linked. The force a fighter can take is roughly equivalent to the force they can exert. Training sequences further highlight this, such as in Battle of Gods when Goku is blasting himself with Kamehamehas while standing arms wide, fully absorbing the energy without injury. This proves that his attack potency and durability scale hand in hand. Another example comes from Goku's fight against Frieza. Early on, Frieza casually deflects Vegeta's attack, showing the Saiyan Prince's punches aren't enough to phase him. But once Goku taps into Super Saiyan, his blows, haymakers, and full force strikes cause real damage to Frieza, demonstrating precise ki application combined with raw power. Some critics might claim that this is filler, but these events were depicted in Dragon Ball Kai, which has been incorporated into Dragon Ball Super flashbacks and is considered canon. One of the most striking demonstrations of Goku's raw power is how he handles attacks that are clearly planetary in scale. For instance, he once took a massive energy blast capable of destroying an entire planet and punched it into deep space, where it obliterated another planet entirely. This isn't just flashy, it proves that Goku's physical strikes can exceed the destructive potential of even a planet-bursting attack. In other words, a single haymaker from him can carry more raw striking force than an energy attack meant to wipe out a world. This is part of a larger pattern in Dragon Ball where characters consistently demonstrate feats above simply planetary scale. Take, for example, Trunks' encounter with Frieza in his mechanical form. Frieza, in a fit of rage, attempts to obliterate a planet with a supernova-level attack, prompting King Cold to warn him about the catastrophic consequences. Trunks, in response, effortlessly catches the attack with one hand. He doesn't just absorb it, he completely controls it, stopping it dead without even landing a single crater in the ground. Despite the attack's planet-level energy, Frieza had detonated the same blast previously and left it in a sizable crater, so this clearly shows Trunks' ability to suppress and manage energy far beyond what was initially expected. Immediately following this, Goku and Trunks spar. Here, Goku channels his ki with pinpoint precision, concentrating immense energy into a single finger. As Trunks strikes, Goku responds with micro strikes from his finger that carry enough force to threaten Frieza himself. Now, some people might question how this counts as planetary level damage, but consider the context. Frieza at this stage is weakened from prior battles, drained of ki, and had survived near total destruction of his body. Yet, even as a reinforced, stronger Frieza, Goku is able to block and counter with precision strikes with his finger, attacks that would have cut him entirely. Frieza himself remarks on just how extreme the stakes are. Even if Goku survived the attack to the explosion, the vacuum of space alone would be enough to finish him. Yet Goku not only survives but dominates the engagement, further cementing the fact that strength is far beyond conventional planetary tiers. When you combine the feats of punching planet, destroying energy into another planet, redirecting attacks with a finger, and sparring with Trunks against a Mecha Frieza, it's evident that Goku's offensive and defensive capabilities are off the charts. Another key point to highlight is just how absurdly high Goku's durability actually is. Take the Trunks fight for example. Goku was throwing punches capable of ripping planets apart, sending them into deep space and obliterating worlds. He had already utterly crushed Frieza, leaving him in a near coma, and yet when Trunks arrived, he was able to cut through Frieza like he wasn't even there, and it only took seconds. And the insane part is Goku, with just his fingertips, was able to endure that same caliber of damage, planet-destroying energy that would have annihilated any ordinary being. He barely flinched, even when all the destructive force was focused into a single point. This demonstrates a key ability that many Z fighters utilize: the capacity to concentrate or compress energy into very precise areas. Whether it's amplifying a single limb for a punch like Goku's finger strikes or focusing an energy blast on one target while suppressing around collateral damage, they can fine-tune the output of their attack. This is something we've seen throughout the Android and Cell saga. For example, during Vegeta's fight with Android 18, he fires a massive Big Bang attack. 18 immediately comments, essentially, "You weren't serious with that, right?" Vegeta's reply confirms it. He was holding back, because if he went all out, the attack would have leveled the entire planet. But even while holding back, the attack still carried the destructive potential of a full-powered planet-busting attack. Super Saiyan Vegeta at this point is hundreds, if not thousands of times stronger than his Saiyan Saga form, which was already confirmed to have planetary level strength. He's not dialing it down to not blow up the planet, he's simply restricting the radius and effect so he doesn't obliterate everything nearby. So in short, casual attacks from Dragon Ball Z characters often operate at planet level power even if the visual effect is subdued. That's why when you see Vegeta's seemingly limited attack leave just a crater instead of destroying the entire planet, it's not a contradiction, it's just suppression. He's controlling the range. We see this again during Goku's battle with Beerus. Their punches resonate across vast cosmic distances. The Dragon Ball universe isn't a single isolated space. It's a living multiverse with layered realms. The Kaioshin realm, the Demon realm, Heaven and Hell, and countless other universe-sized areas as referenced in the Daizenshu and illustrated maps by Akira Toriyama. Every strike they throw, even when moderated, is capable of leveling stars within these dimensions. Ki control plays a huge role here. Goku wasn't unleashing his full strength during the fight with Beerus yet. He was matching blow for blow with a God of Destruction level opponent. Their punches were deliberately aligned to avoid collateral damage, but the latent energy behind those blows alone could destroy celestial bodies. As the battle progressed, both fighters were exerting increasingly more power, still suppressed and demanding that even restrained combatants in Dragon Ball operate on a scale far beyond planetary. One important factor behind the massive planetary and universal shockwaves we see in Dragon Ball is that early on, Goku simply had no control over the sheer magnitude of his God form power. When he first confronted Beerus, even basic movements like dashing towards him caused him to stumble, because he hadn't yet adjusted to how fast and overwhelmingly strong he'd become. This lack of control is a major reason why their fight caused destruction on a cosmic scale. Planets shattered, stars trembled, and the shockwaves rippled across the universe itself. Contrast that with earlier fights like Goku vs. Hit. In the arena, damage was localized. Only a few tiles cracked and nothing compared to a planet-level impact. The difference is pretty clear. Goku simply didn't yet know how to modulate and contain his god-tier energy. As the fight with Beerus progressed, he gradually learned how to suppress and focus his power, eventually mastering area of effect attacks that could be controlled without wiping out entire solar systems. By the time of the climactic blows, he had finally learned to balance his output so that destructive energy could be concentrated without causing collateral damage. This concept of energy suppression continued throughout Dragon Ball Super. Later, when Goku fights Goku Black, Hit, or others as Super Saiyan Blue, the damage seems minimal. Tiles and small structures crack instead of planets being obliterated. The difference isn't a reduction in his power, it's deliberate containment. Even though Goku could theoretically annihilate the universe with raw force, he channels it carefully to avoid excessive destruction. This principle of controlled energy is seen elsewhere in the series as well. Trunks' full-powered attacks against Zamasu, for instance, only demolished a building despite being immensely strong. Similarly, when Frieza crushed Earth in his hands, he was going all out and lowering collateral damage. Majin Buu also demonstrated the same disregard for planetary safety when unleashing full-power Ki Blast. In contrast, most fighters, including Goku and Vegeta, aim to restrict the collateral damage unless absolutely necessary. Even the smallest Ki Blasts in high-level battles can carry planetary-level destructive potential. Just a single one fired from Goku and Vegeta's arsenal is capable of causing near-catastrophic damage if unleashed fully. The series consistently emphasizes that these fighters have god-tier raw strength, but most of the time they carefully control their energy to focus effects on precise targets rather than indiscriminately leveling entire worlds. One of the craziest things about Goku is how instantly he can modulate this power. He can go from something barely human level to his full god-tier strength in the blink of an eye. This isn't just raw speed, it's control as well. The reason he can do this is pretty simple. Most of the time he doesn't want to annihilate anything or anyone he isn't fighting directly. This concept of energy suppression or area of effect management isn't unique to Dragon Ball. It's a staple across shonen and a lot of superhero universes as well. Even back in the Namek Saga, we see this principle in action. Characters consistently suppress their power levels to trick opponents or scouters. Goku, Vegeta, and others will appear weak. Power levels read low, and enemies assume they're fodder only for them to suddenly raise their strength to actual levels when the moment calls for it. Trunks arriving on Earth is another example. While onlookers perceive him as a manageable threat, he can instantly ramp up his power to overwhelming levels. This is masterful Ki control, focusing and condensing energy into a specific radius to maximize efficiency without unnecessary destruction. The contrast is pretty obvious when you look at the gods. Beerus and Champa, when clashing full force, don't hold back at all. The entire universe is at risk. During their battles, planets are casually obliterated. That's what it looks like when fighters aren't connected with area of effect control and they're letting raw power go unchecked. Goku, on the other hand, is more measured. Even when trading blows with Beerus, he holds back the destructive potential of his punches to avoid harming innocents. His full force strikes are deadly in combat, but the energy is focused precisely where it needs to be, leaving nearby worlds and people unscathed. That restraint is a key part of why the universe survives encounters with fighters who could otherwise casually destroy everything. So when you consider how Goku and other characters manage their ki, the key takeaway is pretty clear. Their immense strength is enormous, but their mastery over energy and area of effect is what separates controlled devastation from total annihilation. Beerus is an example of the opposite. When he goes all out, destruction is inevitable. Goku's genius lies in knowing when and how to contain it.